So, you said to make sure we ask you about the EVP session. What's that?
Electronic voice phenomenon. It's something we're somewhat sceptical about, but it's also something we've had some results with in the past and completely mystifies me. It's a bit of a modern version of a seance, really. What you do is you use a recorder, and we have a little simple digital recorder like you might use to record a university lecture or something like that. And what we've learned to do now is back that up with analog recording. So I've just got like an old cassette recorder from the op shop, and we'll be using that as well to back up the digital. You set your recorder in motion. We also bring in the EMF meters for that because they're very sensitive, and you may get a response from the EMF meter. We sit around in the quiet once we've identified an area in a place that seems to be a little more interesting than some other area, or it might be a part of the building where a particular event has happened, or there's known people have seen things or heard things in that area. We sit around and we literally talk to whatever might be there, and we ask it questions. And we ask that presence, if it exists, to maybe to do things or to show some sign that it's there.
Specific questions for the environment or the history that you know about, or more
generic
sort of ones?
We ask if we know anything, then we direct our questions to what we know of and see if we get a response. The electronic voice phenomenon part comes from the fact that these little recorders, and this is recording now, they're very, very sensitive, and they have automatic gains. So if they don't particularly hear anything, they turn up their sensitivity automatically to the point where they will hear somebody talking in another building or outside, or a TV set on in the neighbouring house or something like that. And when you play it back, you hear stuff that you couldn't hear with your own ears at the time. And sometimes you hear things that sound like voices, sometimes you hear things that sound like responses to your questions. They may or may not be, so you have to interpret that data with some intelligence.
So you've experienced this yourself? You've listened back and heard stuff that seemed to be a response to your questions?
Not very clearly, no. But we have had responses on the EMF meters. And we did a thing with Radio New Zealand at Inverlochy House, where we did an EVP session in a particular part of the building and asked some questions, and the EMF meter seemed to respond each time we asked a question. And I was a little bit curious about that, and we've tried repeating that experiment with additional meters, with video meters, and we haven't quite had the same response again. But it was a situation where it was very interesting. We want to find out what's going on. We want to try and repeat the experiment to see if we can get a similar result again with more recording of what we did. And that you can actually hear on Radio New Zealand. It's on the net, and you can, the interviewer commentates on your responses, so we got a pretty good recording of it, really.
Well, okay, so let's put you on the spot a little bit. Do you believe in ghosts?
We don't really like using the term belief. We're all pretty convinced that there is more to the world than meets the eye, and with most of the people in the group have had personal experiences that they haven't been able to explain. In fact, about half the people we probably have. But I've had a few, Denise has had a few. They've been various in nature.
Tell us about some of these. What's been some of the scariest, most interesting, frightening moments that you've had?
Oh, something that damn near scared the crap out of me and Denise. We were in a hotel room in Wanganui, and in the middle of the night, we both absolutely sat bolt upright, and we both had the simultaneous experience of there being a large dark presence coming from the end of the bed and attacking us. Denise thought it was a big black dog, and I thought it was a man. And of course the light went on pretty quickly. Whatever it was kind of vanished, and but we both had the same nightmare. And we looked around to see the room hadn't been broken into and things like that. And we tried to get back to sleep. We put the TV on, we turned the TV off. Couldn't get back to sleep. I mean, we were both pretty upset. And after like an hour and a half or something like that, we just had to leave the room. I wrote in a cheque for the room, and we just took off in the middle of the night.
So you weren't there as ghost hunting. You were just there.
No, this was before that. This was in the mid-1990s. We weren't aware of paranormal investigators back then. We didn't know of any in New Zealand. We didn't know anybody to contact about it. If we had, we probably would have. We would have liked to talk to somebody about it. It was scary, and we didn't really settle down until we got back to Wellington and the sun rose. We stopped at Foxton to refuel at the all-night station, and when the guy saw us coming in, I don't know what we looked like, but you could see his finger hovering up, the panic button on the counter. We must have been as white as sheets and still shaking at that point. I don't think that I would react to anything like that in that way again.
Have there been any instances when you've been investigating that?
We haven't had anything that scary happen to us since we've been investigating, but I mean, personally, I've had a number of things that would seem to be encounters with things, and so have other members of the group, and I think we're getting a little bit used to it, actually.
What's an encounter with a thing?
Well, it's hard to say. The last time I was at Inverlochy House, we're standing around in a room, and for some reason I decided to go out on the landing and the back stairs and have a look down. I don't know why, because it had been a pretty quiet night, and I don't know whether it was my imagination or not, but there seemed to be kind of shadowy figure standing halfway down the stairs looking at me. Bloody hell. So I came back in the room again. You see, I don't know, I might have just imagined it.
So do you get scared? Do you get shivers down the spine?
Oh yeah, but the thing is, when you're in a building at night and it's dark and you're kind of in the mood for this stuff, and somebody suggests something to you, they suggest that maybe they can see something or there's something there, then naturally that is quite infectious, and you're aware of that power of suggestion. The times when it's happened to me lately, nobody suggested anything. What I just described, nobody suggested anything. I just sort of walked out there for some reason and had that experience. The last time it happened to me, we were in a basement in Dixon Street, and me and Clinton from Phoenix Paranormal were down there checking the place out. Nothing had happened. It was quiet and sort of quite benign. And then one of the surveillance cameras went a bit funny, so we went to check it out. And walking up to the camera, we were talking about some crap, nothing to do with the paranormal for that matter. We were talking about something else entirely. And it got this very cold feeling. It felt like something walked straight through me. Where did that come from?